Hey everybody, Troy here. This video is about chord inversions and how I approach chord inversions and how chord inversions started to make sense for me. It was the biggest game changer in my transition from blues to worship, and it kind of like fast-tracked me once it all started to click. So I'm going to share with you my approach. It's not the end-all be-all approach. It's probably not the most theory-oriented approach. It's just what made sense for me. So I'm going to share it with you. Here we go. Hey buddy. What's up? Want to be in the video with me? What's that?
I was going to ask you for soccer with me too.
You want to play soccer? Okay.
Like after you're done.
Yeah, how about we do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll see you in a minute. Score! Okay, so this is going to supplement the ebook that I have on the website. GuitarforHISGLORY.com/shop is where you can get that. In the ebook, it shows pictures of me fretting all these inversions, has chord diagrams that show you the root, third, and fifth of each chord, gives you an explanation about how I think about the chord, how I normally play it, and all that stuff. So you can get that at GuitarforHISGLORY.com/shop. It also has like a one-page diagram that has all these chord inversions that you can just see, and then it has the book to kind of complement that as well. So let's jump into movable chord inversion number 1. First inversion shape is probably the most used inversion shape in worship music, at least that I know of. And it's this shape here. And the way we think about this, the way I think about this, it makes it easy for me, especially when I was first learning these. The quickest way to get there, so let's think about our G bar chord shape. You go up 2 frets, 1, 2, and then you start building your inversion from there. So it shares these 2 notes from this shape. You add another 5th with your ring finger. Then you add the root with your pinky. Now, played like that, it's kind of muddy. I don't play it like that. I play a triad typically, so I'll play or a dyad with just these 2 fingers using muting technique. So middle finger's muting the E, A, and D strings. Pinky's muting the high E string, so like this. Or I move it to first finger and middle finger. So again, find your regular bar chord, move up 2 frets, 1, 2, and then start building your inversion from there. So let's say I want to find the same inversion as a C chord. I find my C bar chord, move up 2 frets, 1, 2, start building the inversion. Okay, so let's look at movable inversion number 2. This is going to be based on an A-shaped C chord. So our A-shaped C chord looks like this. We're going to go up 2 frets, 1, 2. They share these notes. These 2 notes there. Add the 5th with your pinky and then a root with your pinky. That's the inversion. Again, I rarely play all those notes. I usually play it as a dyad like this. Or a triad. Or a triad like this. Fewer strings the better. Now again, the pattern for this, the way I think about this one is find my C, my regular A-shaped bar chord. Move up 2 frets, 1, 2, and now I'm anchoring the inversion there. So let's practice this. Let's find an F. So I'm going to go to my F-shaped bar chord. It's rooted on the A string. Move up 2 frets, 1, 2. Now I can start building my inversion. Movable inversion number 3 is a lot like number 2. It's just 3 heavy instead of 5 heavy, so we're emphasizing the 3rd in this chord. Same thing, we're going to find our A-shaped C chord. I'm going to use these 2 notes here, so the root and the 3rd, and that's it. So play it like this, where we're using the thumb to do some muting here of the low E and a little bit of the A string, actually all of the A string, pardon me. The index finger is muting the D string, and then I'm playing the G and B string, so that's the root and the 3rd, and then we're muting the high E with the underside of our index finger. if I want to play maybe something where I'm gonna end up moving my pinky over or something for a chord to make that transition a bit easier, I'll play it with my third finger and my pinky like this, using my middle finger to drape over the tops of these strings to get that muting going, and then the pinky is still taking care of the muting of the high E. So let's practice this one to find it somewhere else. Let's say I want to find a G. So I'm going to find my A-shaped G bar chord, move up 2 frets, 1, 2, and I'm playing the root and the third. All right, movable inversion number 4 is kind of based on number 2 a little bit, but we're going to add in the root note, and it's going to make this chord sound a bit bigger. So let's find our A-shaped G chord. We're going to play the root, and the third. Everything else gets muted, so low E gets muted with our index finger, D string gets muted with our index finger, the underside there, and then the high E string gets muted with the underside of our pinky. Sounds like this. So let's say I want to find this in a D. I find my D-shaped bar chord, I play the root, I play the root, I play the third, and use muting technique for the rest of them. All right, movable inversion number 5 is a lot like number 3, except we're going to replace playing the root third. We're going to play root 5th third and mute some of the strings, but in some cases we can let that open G ring out. So let's find our A-shaped G chord. We're going to play root, 5th, third, and we're going to mute the G string with the underside of our ring finger here, mute the low E with the index, and mute the high E with the pinky, so we have this chord here. Now because we're in the key of G, we can actually let this open G ring out, which is really cool. It makes for really big sounding chords. So if you want to do that, say, in the key of A, so let's find that in the key of A, go up 2 frets, play root 5th, third. Now you can't let that open G ring out, or you get that, but if you take a capo, slap it on the 2nd fret, so then your G string becomes an open A string, you can do that. Pretty cool. All right, movable inversion number 6 is based on a C chord. So we're going to think of our C like, we play it like a cowboy, right? Like this. Now let's move our hand position. So same exact notes being played, just played in a different way. So our index finger is behind the nut. So let's say we want to make this a G. Our pinky finger is rooting this chord, so it's on that C note. So we just need to find a G note. So our G is all the way up here at 10th fret. Slide that all the way up, and we got to use this index finger back here. So it's root, third, 5th, root. Now I don't ever play this chord, rarely. I mean, a 1% chance I play all the notes like this. It's more often played as a triad where I play 3rd, 5th, root. It gets muddy quickly, so it's really good for arpeggiating stuff instead of just strumming flat out. So using that knowledge now, we know our pinky roots the chord. So if this is a G and we want to make it a D, all we need to do is find the D on the A string, which is back here, and we play that same shape. Movable inversion number 7 is heavily related to movable inversion number 1. It just takes it up a notch, basically. So movable inversion number 1 was this guy here. What we're going to do for movable inversion number 7 is replace our ring finger with our index finger. So we're here. Our pinky is going to be replaced by our middle finger. And then we're going to put the pinky up here on the 10th fret on the 5th. So it's 5th, root, 5th. So again, how we build that. We think of movable inversion number 1, so move up 2 frets, replace ring finger with index finger, replace pinky with middle finger, add the pinky up on the 5th there, and we get movable inversion number 7, which is really, really good for swells. It's got a very clear sound. And then it's also cool if you're doing movable kind of rhythms, so something like, it just connects really well with stuff like that. Now let's try to find this again somewhere else. So let's say we want to find it in C. Start with our C bar chord, go up 2 frets to movable inversion number 1, replace the ring finger with the index finger, replace the pinky finger with the middle finger, put the pinky finger up there on the 5th, and we have movable inversion number 7. Okay, so let's take a look at the minor inversions. What we start to learn as we really get familiar with these chord shapes is that the major and minor chords don't differ a whole lot. They share a lot of the same notes. So let's take a look at the movable inversion number 8 and number 9. Okay, so for movable inversion number 8, we're going to base it on this A minor shape here. And we're going to play the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Now you'll notice it's a lot like the inversion we played before for the C, which was just these 2 notes. So to make that a C, we just add a C bass note, or the band plays a C bass note and we just play these notes. Now if the band plays an A, this becomes an A minor. So I choose to play the minor chords either with the bass note fretted with my middle finger or my thumb, and just do muting for these 2 strings here. I'm only fretting the low E, the G, and the B strings. Or I don't play any bass note at all, and if the band is playing the A and the bass, then they just made my chord minor for me. Now listen, when I play the C, it becomes major. Kind of uncomplicates things a little bit. All right, movable inversion number 9 is a minor chord where we actually make a minor 7. Don't be afraid though, this minor 7 can be played over any minor chord in the mix with all these instruments. It's not going to make a big difference, trust me on that one. Okay, so we're in the key of A for this, and we're going to look at movable inversion number 1 to start this one out. So we have our A bar chord, 2 frets up, 1, 2. This is our movable inversion number 1. Now to make that an F sharp minor, which is the relative of A major, we're just going to add an F sharp in the bass. So our F sharp note is here. We're going to mute the D string and mute the low E string and just play the G and the B along with that F sharp bass. Sounds like this. So that's really cool. The chord progression is say 1, 6, 5, 4. So we play A major as 1, F sharp minor is 6. So that F sharp in the bass, and then 5, 4. So there's just not a lot of movement that has to happen for those chords to work, which is why I like that shape a lot. Okay, so let's make this an E minor. What we're going to do is find our G major bar chord, because E minor and G major are relatives. So we have G major, 1, 2 up to get our movable inversion number 1. Find our E bass note to make it E minor, which is here. Middle finger goes there, E minor. Okay guys, so there it is. That's my approach to chord inversions. That's how I think about chord inversions. I really, really hope that was helpful. The idea here is to kind of simplify things, to break it down, uncomplicated it, and then you can learn all the complicated theory stuff afterward, but we want to get you fast-tracked to playing worship guitar in a way that's going to contribute positively to your worship services. So ultimately, glory is brought to Jesus, salvation is brought to people that don't know Him, and joy is brought to His people. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, comment in the comment section below, head to the website, however you want to get a hold of me. I'm so happy to help you guys. Until then, we'll see you next time.